First up on the show is Mike Marlowe. Of course, he's an expert at all things home inspection. It's been a lot of fun. You've been on the show for a few months now, quite a few months. Yeah. And I really enjoy our conversations. And every time I do some research on what we're going to talk about, I learn some new stuff. And I got to tell you, I'm a technology geek, right? And I love this whole thermal imaging thing. So just give us a quick overview of what it is and how you use it.
Okay, so thermal imaging basically is we're looking at the infrared spectrum. Infrared is given off by objects that have heat. Everything that we had. Everything in our environment has heat, so it has a thermal signature. So what we're looking for is differences in the thermal or the temperature of objects in the house.
Right.
And using that, we can find anomalies. Something, you see a big cold splotch on the wall. Well, what's that from? And is it water? Is it missing insulation? Is it, just the AC register is blowing on that spot of the wall? So, everything that we find with the thermal imaging, we confirm with other tools, moisture meter or,
You start with less invasive, and then you kind of move into it as necessary. You were telling me a story before we got on the show about finding a water leak, and that's the thing, like especially on new home construction, right?
Yep.
It's like there can be things hidden behind that sheetrock that you don't know, like missing insulation, water leak, stuff like that. So give me an example, or tell me a little bit about that.
Okay, so the water leak we were talking about, it was just a small cold spot on a ceiling, and it happened to be underneath the master bathroom. So put a moisture meter on it. Hey, find out that cold spot is actually wet.
Right.
And, talking with the builder, we cut the ceiling open there, and sure enough, the drain on the tub in the master bedroom had just a small drip going.
Which could have taken a long time for them to discover and could have led to other things.
Yeah, mold most importantly.
Yeah.
And but we've had new construction, at least several times a month we find new construction that doesn't have insulation in the attic.
Right. This is crazy to see. If you haven't seen this technology, you've got to go to Mike's YouTube channel at Veteran Home Inspections. Look at his YouTube channel and find some video there where you can actually see clearly where the insulation is missing in the walls, which is crazy.
Yeah.
It's X-ray vision. It's Superman vision.
Yeah. That's the biggest misconception. It is not X-ray.
I wish it was. But it's like that, right? You can see what's hidden.
Yeah. We can only see the surface of what the camera can see. It can't see through things. It can't even see through glass unless it's special glass.
Right. Its temperature is all it's picking up.
Yeah, and it's only picking up the temperature. But if you have missing insulation, that the increase or coming up on, we'll be looking for cold spots here in the winter. But right now we're looking for hot spots where the insulation is not there or displaced, and you're getting air in the attic is flowing against the drywall, so it heats up the drywall, and we can see that.
Yeah, so missing insulation, that to me is fascinating. So you can find plumbing leaks because you're looking at wet spots, right, or looking for cool spots, right, which come up, which are wet spots sometimes, but you confirm all that stuff.
Yep.
And then roof leaks would be something else that you guys can find. Obviously, you're looking for moisture.
Yep.
So how would that work? Where would you be looking for roof leaks? Pretty much, I guess, anywhere?
But on the ceiling, underneath it, That's where we find them,
Windows as well. So, right?
Around windows, yes.
Right, like if some of the rubber is missing or the insulation around the windows
Air
is missing?
leaks are a little more difficult to find with thermal without bringing in other equipment.
Okay.
So. You do see a lack of insulation around windows. So windows are generally need to be spray foamed around and sealed, and then they use a special window tape. It's called a waterproofing window tape or a window tape.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're not properly insulated, you can see that with a thermal camera.
Yeah, and that's why, using a thermal camera. I tell you what, next house I buy, I mean, I've learned so much just, having these conversations that I'm way ahead of the game. I am prepared for my next home kind of a deal.
Or the next time you're selling a home.
Yeah, right. All right. So what about, so that's finding problems, right? And you're identifying problems. But there's an energy efficiency point to this as well, right? Because you can shore up some stuff.
There could be. We do not do the energy efficiency side of things. That's a whole different certification and training path that we have not gone down. There's companies in the area that specialize in that, but we just we don't have time to get into it.
Right. So. I know you guys are pretty busy over there. So what about foundation cracks and stuff like that?
Foundation cracks, if there's water intrusion or if it's something creating a temperature differential, then possibly. If there's broken plumbing in the slab, we have found that using the thermal to help the plumber figure out where to start breaking the slab open to fix it. Or
so they call you, Mike, specifically mainly for home sales, home purchases. Are you on the buyer side, the seller side?
Mostly the buyer side. We do sellers inspections, pre-listing inspections.
And where else would they? What else would you be contracted for? New construction. You're talking about new construction, so you do new construction inspections too.
Yeah, and besides the straight up, residential transaction inspections, be it buyer side, seller side, new construction, we do a lot of mold inspections. So of course, mold, we're looking for water, which the thermal really helps us on. And
when you say mold, you mean microbial growth of any kind? Or do you test for mold yourself?
We test for mold. We're certified mold assessors. Yeah.
You do the mold testing. You send it off to a lab, or do you test it yourself?
No, we send it to a lab.
You send it to a lab.
Yep.
Okay.
You can also use that thermal imaging to find, like, I saw an example of where somebody the air conditioning ducting didn't make the vent. The ducting didn't make it all the way to the vent itself. It actually stopped short of it.
Right.
Have you seen anything like that?
Yeah, we've got a great picture that we'll get up online. Actually, it's on our website already, of where they had drywalled over a register. And
cracks me up.
And the way when you look at this picture, the way the picture came out is just really cool. So
literally, right?
Yeah, and literally cool. Yeah, cold. It's actually cold.
Yeah,
right. That's crazy, right? But that's where having this kind of a tool really, really helps, because you would never see that. You'd be like, I don't know why the.
And that's on a new construction job, Mike, that you found that one.
That was on a flip.
On a flip.
Yeah. So it was actually a very old building, but they had renovated it.
Yeah.
And without the thermal, we wouldn't have been even really looking for it, because there was another vent in that room.
Right. So it would have been there forever.
Yeah. It just blowing into the wall. And it would have eventually popped up when they switched over to cooling season and the mold started developing. So.
Wow. So let's talk about interpreting the data. Now, first off, so I can go down to the local Dollar General store and pick up one of these thermal cameras, or are we talking about there's a pro version of this?
There's definitely varying levels of cameras. You can get the ones that look like a cell phone for a few $100, and they're toys. Yeah, they're cool for certain things, but the ones we're using are much higher resolution, better quality. So
what about
the training behind that? Because you can sit there and take pictures all day long, but if you don't know what you're looking at,
that's the thing. You may think you know what you're looking at, but you don't necessarily. And then, like you were saying, you need to follow up with some kind of confirmation,
right?
Which I think is pretty cool. So, I mean, how difficult is it to interpret those images?
I've got several courses and a lot of hours into training on these.
And that's what it takes to be able to do that.
To really know what you're looking at and figure it out efficiently and not miss stupid stuff. So
you can use it for pipe locating and electrical lines and stuff like that too, or no?
It depends
on what type of pipes they are.
But and how they're set. There's many times where we can see, especially hot pipes that are running through the slab. Mm-hmm. If they're close enough to the surface, run that hot water long enough, you can actually see
there we go.
where they're running through the slab. Also depends on the floor covering. If it's carpet, we're probably not going to see much of anything. But a tile that's set right where the heat can transfer from that pipe up to the surface of the tile, we can see things like that.
What about finding pipes in the walls, like water pipes and stuff like that?
But if they're installed right, they'll be set back from the drywall, so we'll probably not see those.
Okay.
Because there'll be a thermal break there.
Gotcha. One of the things I saw, too, that I thought was interesting is using a fan in conjunction, like finding water. So, or moisture in an area, that using a fan for some reason makes that water pop even more.
Right. Well, what you're doing is you're causing... if you have wet drywall and you're causing evaporation, which cools, just like when you sweat, it cools you down, then we can now see that temperature differential. We can also create the same thing by just changing the temperature of the air conditioning or heat, depending on the season.
Okay.
Change the air temperature. You get that going long enough, and you'll start to see the difference in temperature with water or whatever.
Okay.
So, sometimes we have to create the right temperatures to really use the thermal camera right.
Okay. And you just do that by adjusting the air
adjusting the environment. Yeah.
Gotcha. All right. So if somebody is looking to buy a home, right, what is like the top reason that they should get a thermal inspection done?
Find the stuff that's not become apparent yet.
Yeah.
A water leak is eventually going to start causing stains or mold or whatever. Do you want to wait till it's that problem, or do you want to find it now?
Exactly right.
Well, I think even people that are own the home now, that have an existing home, would benefit a lot from it. We do it often. We do a lot of thermal stuff, and on the air conditioning side, we check the home envelope. We do all kinds of different tests, right? But the problem is a lot, just like a new kitchen. A lot of people wait to remodel the kitchen for when they're selling it, so that the new person can enjoy it, right?
Yeah.
So you should get your unit inspected, your home inspected thermally, so that you can enjoy the energy savings, not be forced to pay for it for the next person. It's a smart thing to invest in anytime that you own a home, that you're responsible for the electricity bill or the home health or whatever is in the house.
What kind of costs are we looking at, Mike, on this to get a home inspected? 2,000 square foot house.
375, 400, somewhere in there.
I mean, that's nothing when you're talking about buying or selling a home.
One air loss section in a home could cost you $15 a month for the entire time that you're in the home. If your windows are not insulated and you have 20 windows in your house, or 13 or 15 windows in your house, it's a $30-$50 difference, in the summertime.
And you can tell, Mike, right, the temperature, right? It's got a temperature readout.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So you can actually see what the temperature is in that spot.
Right.
That's very cool. All right, if folks want to get in touch with you, Mike, how do they do that?
Okay, website is vhillc.com, and our phone number is 210-202-1974.
Thanks, Mike. Always a pleasure.
Yeah.